Hi guys, my name's Caleb, and this is my 1969 Volkswagen Ghia with a 2006 Subaru EZ30R swapped in it. And some of you have asked about a video of it running, so I figured if I was going to do that, I'd just go ahead and do a video with a walk around of the entire car. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about it because I do have a lot of information in the description in my ad on the Facebook Marketplace and also the Samba. So I'll try to mention maybe a few things that I noticed that maybe I didn't mention in the description. And once again, there may be some things I don't mention in the video that are in the description. So no major dents or dings, anything like that. It's not perfect by any means. It's got a few little nicks and scratches. The paint's not perfect. I bought it off a guy locally here in East Tennessee. It owned the car for over 20 years. Had been restoring it, or had someone restoring it, and just kind of stopped. And, you know, the interior was kind of pretty ratty. There was no engine in it, but it had been painted. And once again, it was not a perfect paint job, but I felt like it was presentable enough that I didn't want to strip it down and redo it all. So this is something you can drive, have fun in, and not be too stressed or worried about getting a little scratch or nick or anything like that on there. Some of you may notice that it's got the wrong turn signals on it, and it does, because this is a 69. Those turn signals are, I believe, from a later model, like a 71. So that is the only part on the car that I've noticed that's been replaced that's not original, is the nose. So that nose has been replaced, and I'll zoom in here and you can see where there is a hairline crack where it has been replaced. I don't know if it was like that when I bought it or if it just started over time, but I'll kind of zoom in here and you can kind of see the little crack there and a few little cracks right there, and that's really the worst area on the body. I'll show you another area that I just noticed the other day. I've never even noticed it until recently. Just a little crack right there. Other than that, there's no major dings or dents or anything like that. Very well presentable. It's got a Volkswagen Scirocco radiator mounted up front. Originally had a Jeep Cherokee radiator in the back. You know, just obviously wasn't getting enough airflow for it to cool correctly without, you know, doing like Lexan quarter glass with some ductwork going in, or make some kind of an air dam underneath the car. I just felt like this was going to be the best option, so I ended up putting a Scirocco radiator up front, made this air dam here, widened the nose up to get more airflow in. I live here in East Tennessee in the mountains, and it's about an hour drive to work, up and over the mountains, and even at that, going over the mountains here, going over the mountains, the hottest I've ever seen it get was like 205, 207, I believe. So typically it's 190, 195 degrees. So yeah, I don't really have any problems cooling. I haven't driven it much this summer just because it is so hot and the car has no AC. So when it's been in the 80s and 90s, I haven't been driving it. So it may run a little bit hotter, you know, in those higher temperatures. I just haven't driven it lately. So we'll go ahead and zoom in or look in the front real quick, or inside the car. I put all new door panels in it. It's got a new carpet kit. I've done all this work myself. Once again, I'm not an expert on any of this stuff. Just kind of figured it out as I went. So I feel like it's presentable. It's got the Subaru pedal installed in it because it is a drive-by wire and it needed to be in there. It's got new bamboo mats. These seats came out of, I'm not sure what they came out of. I bought it locally off a guy who had them in his hot rod, so he had got them out of some kind of a more modern vehicle. New seat belts, new tachometer, new dash face. The dash pads are not perfect. There's a few little cracks there. Small crack there. And that's pretty much it. It's really not too bad. The emergency lights work, headlights work, wipers work. It's got a USB port there. I don't have wiper blades, as you can see, but yeah, pretty much everything is new. We'll look at the wiring harness here. So a lot of people ask about the wiring, why I have this back here. It is a 2006, so it's a CAN bus system, so all the modules have to be, or most of the modules have to be installed for it to either not go in limp mode or even start it off. So you do not have to start it from back here. You start it from the key up here, which I'll show in a second. This is just back here because it has to be in here for the car to operate. And for it to run, I do have a CAN bus emulator off AGT Engineering wired in there. A PWM controller, frequency controller here, so you can adjust the hertz. That will send a signal to the computer to tell it it's going a certain speed, just to keep it from going in limp mode. I have it set for like 20 miles an hour, so the computer thinks we're moving, even though we're not, or even though we're not going 20 miles an hour. And that seemed to be working. I originally had a wheel speed sensor in the back, and just didn't like that. Didn't like the thought of it, hitting and breaking off. So I have a friend of mine that happened too. So we'll look at the engine real quick, and then the nose are up in the front, and then we'll drive it. Once again, 06 EZ30R. Bought this off of, I actually pulled the engine out of a vehicle, went and bought the vehicle in Atlanta, Georgia. It was a 2006 Outback wagon. It had been flipped, but the car actually ran. I actually drove it up on the trailer, and I really haven't done anything to the engine other than plugs and wires, and took the timing cover off and the valve cover off, just to make sure everything looked good, and it did. I put it back, but I do have a small oil leak on this side over here in the bottom. It's not incredibly bad. I haven't even had to add any oil to it, so I did want to mention that though, because I know that's in the description. Fuel pressure gauge, or fuel pressure regulator, sorry. And once again, in the description there might be some other things that I've mentioned about the engine that's not in this video. I don't want to feel like spending a whole lot of time, honestly. Go ahead and pop the trunk. Look up here at the front. So I've got the original, I bought a new fuel tank, installed the Subaru fuel pump and level sensor. Once again, I believe I mentioned it, that the fuel gauge was not working. So I've got a Blue Driver reader that's plugged in the OBD2 port that I'm able to get all of my data off of, and for some reason I'm not able to get a fuel level reading off that app. So I don't know if there's something with the wiring, or if it's just, for some reason, it's just not operating. So either way, yes, whoever bought the car had the option of either getting another tank and just putting the original Volkswagen level sensor in there, and then putting an inline fuel pump in. You could do that. Air dam here, once again, Volkswagen Stronco radiator. And that's it. All the chrome and everything like that was on the car when I got it. It's got new bulbs throughout the whole car, new headlight bulbs. So yeah, let's go.